Greetings, fellow motion picture monsters, and welcome to a brand new presentation series. My name is Sugar Pants, and I'll be your host at a look at some questionable selections from the cinematic basement. The kind of stuff you might have seen in the VHS rental section or on the late night cable networks because you were up past your bedtime. Or maybe you missed out on all that cinematic fun and are just looking for someone to be your guide through the never-ending bargain bin of videos. If so, then buckle up, because the films I'll be looking into definitely are not for the casuals. And we're gonna get started on a strong note by looking at the 1987 late-night cable classic, Slavegirls From Beyond Infinity. It's basically what happens when someone reads Richard Connell's short story, The Most Dangerous Game, and thinks, this needs more bikini girls, lasers, robots, and mutants. So let's check out the sleaze docket for a rundown of the content that you want to know about. We have 4 dead bodies, 6 naked breasts, half a cup blood, 1 cup zombie blood, 2 Mandalorians, 2 implied laser decapitations, 1 robot-assisted sexual assault, 1 sex scene, 1 trap impalement, and gratuitous space musical instrument performance. Our movie begins with our talented extra running through a steamy jungle and being chased by one of the lesser-known members of GWAR, who misses a very easy shot. She's saved by not Ricardo Montalban. Or is she? Immediately, we cut to the trapper-keeper I had in middle school to a ship containing the real stars of the show, Daria and Tisa. Oh, by the way, neither of these 2 girls are the blonde from the opening sequence. I was about 2/3 of the way through this movie before I realized that, and it just confused the hell out of me. But in my defense, I wasn't exactly looking at their faces when they were introduced. The 2 blondes escape from the cage by short-circuiting the lock with their chains, and even though the door is higher than the lock they could just barely reach, they still manage to get out somehow. Are you curious to see who captured the girls in the first place? Why, they're dollar store Mandalorian knockoffs, of course! The girls immediately overpower our 2 Boba Fakes. Should have froze them in carbonite, Mando. I have spoken. The 2 steal a shuttlecraft, which takes longer for them to power up than it does for them to find trouble. About a minute after taking off, they're immediately caught up in a tractor beam from a nearby planet and crash on the beach, which is being patrolled by the Rock'em Sock'em Robot Brigade. Daria goes through a rock and enters the lawn and garden section of Home Depot. Eventually, she ends up at a castle, which is just overflowing with evidence that the owner is a hunter. We're finally officially introduced to Mr. Leatherpants himself, where we learn his name is Zed, and the blondes are reunited. The robot takes Daria to her room and gives her some clothes to change into. We also find out there are other guests as well, Shayla and Rick. They're brother and sister, by the way. Zed spends a long time justifying his hunting fetish, and we're not supposed to find him creepy or obsessive at all, especially when he gets this crazy look in his eye. And then Shayla requests a concert from Zed's
holographic audioscope.
Say that again?
Holographic audioscope.
One more time.
Holographic audioscope.
Your music's bad and you should feel bad.
During the concert, Rick tells Daria he suspects Zed is killing off his friends and convinces her to help him investigate after everyone's gone to bed. Hey, how is it Zed has all these women's clothes in just the right size? Immediately, they go to Zed's trophy room, which is filled with all sorts of species, including some human remains. Hey, look, it's the motorcycle helmet from City Limits. Don't worry if you didn't know that reference. I only accidentally recognized it myself. Rick tells the girls he can't find his sister. Meanwhile, Zed is out with his robot crew, who come back with a bloody bag, and we're left to assume it's one of Rick's friends that he mentioned at the party. Zed suddenly senses Voldemort is nearby. After going back, I found out this is the first time this scar shows up. How did it get there? What does it represent? Apparently, it wasn't important enough to explain. Oh god, no! They're carving up E.T.! The crew comes to the conclusion that Zed is a maniac, and they have to kill him before he kills them all. And I don't know if this is intentional or not, but I now present to you the funniest bit in the entire movie.
Have you got a knife?
Only this.
It'll have to do.
So while the Scooby Gang is out looking for clues and setting traps, Zed is having his way with Shayla to make her brother mad enough to be a decent target for his next hunt. And we find out the forest has zombies? Mutants? It's not really clear. Tisa's wandering around in her underwear and overhears Zed telling himself the plan out loud, as well as giving the robot the order to check on everyone. Since her friends are still out in the forest, her plan is to seduce the robots.
What a delicious day it is. It's just perfect for a morning swim. Won't you come with me? Zed says the jungle's just full of danger. I'd feel a whole lot safer with a big, strong android like you along to protect me.
And the only thing that's funnier than that plan is the fact that it works. The other robot is ordered to patrol the beaches and catches the first robot shirking his orders to see some skin. And I now present to you the best dialogue in the entire flick.
What are you doing here?
Watching her.
The master ordered you to check the upstairs room.
Everything at the house is in order.
Did you see for yourself?
Well, no.
I think you should be guarding the house.
You think? You never thought for your entire existence.
You are insulting.
You are correct.
The gang makes it back just as Zed checks on them, and their plan to keep from being caught is to pretend to have sex. Which works, but then leads to actually having sex. Or rather, as close to sex as you're going to get in an R-rated movie. Ow, my skull! Voldemort's on the move again. Rick is captured by the robots, and Zed tells him about his sister being his prisoner, but then says nothing about having his way with her. But he told her the whole point of the rape was to anger her brother, to be a worthy hunt. So I guess that was all just to show us how evil Zed really is? Or maybe just to put more nudity in the film? The rules of the hunt are pretty simple. If he can survive till morning, Zed will free him and his sister. Spoiler alert, he doesn't survive. You know, I gotta be honest, I would probably have liked this movie a lot more if we saw whatever spun that giant web, but the budget just didn't have room for a giant spider. Cut back to Zed's castle and all the girls are chained up. How did this happen? The movie just skips that part altogether. So even though he just killed Rick, the hunter decides the greatest challenge for him is to turn all the girls loose together for one final grand hunt. Zed tells the girls of a temple with high-powered laser guns, and lastly Zed tells the girls this.
One word of advice. Try not to get lost in the phantom zone.
Soon into the hunt, the girls check on the previously set traps and find that the zombie mutant things have tripped some of them and are no longer useful against Zed. They also almost immediately lose the map because they can't decide whose bikini would make the best storage compartment. Shortly into the hunt, Shayla is killed and the blonde set up a spike that I first thought nailed Zed in the dick, but it just hit his thigh. It is enough to take Zed out for a while, though. The girls eventually make it to what they think is the weapons temple, and it's here that we find out Daria is a fucking linguistics expert.
From life to death is the reach of man.
But you see, the problem here is she's reading left to right when she should be reading right to left. The actual translation is certified freak, 7 days a week, wet ass puss. Turns out this temple might be the Phantom Zone.
I have the strangest feeling the normal laws of time and space no longer apply.
That's an awfully large conclusion to jump to just because we walked into a room with a running fog machine. Honestly, I think the Phantom Zone was just an excuse to throw in some extra sci-fi weirdness. But thankfully they did, because this movie's been pretty light on action so far. While here, Tisa discovers Pustulus Maximus from earlier and wakes his ass up by yanking on the weapon attached to him. But Daria finds a big damn gun and takes him down before he can do any real damage. Now the girls are packing heat and Pustulus is wandering around outside the Phantom Zone. And I can't even believe I said that sentence. While the girls are getting armed, Zed's robots patched him back up, and now he's in the game again. But even armed to the teeth, the girls fail almost immediately. Tisa is taken back to the castle because murder really gets Zed going. But Daria survived and comes back to finish the hunt. You know, she failed with a laser gun almost as big as she was, but yeah, she's gonna win with a sword and shield. Tisa takes out the first robot, and Pustulus Maximus crashes the party to drop the second robot, as well as Zed. Then, this happens. And I don't know why. The girls get into Zed's spaceship and escape just as Zed stumbles to his throne and causes a sparkly laser light show.
That was close.
My best guess is that it was a self-destruct mechanism, but I suppose with the amount spent on bikinis, there wasn't enough room in the budget for a Lego castle and some firecrackers. And the movie ends as the girls blast off into outer space with just enough of an ending to hint at a potential sequel. That never happens. See? There you go. Even the movie couldn't decide if we were going with mutants or zombies. So that's Slavegirls From Beyond Infinity. An hour and 14 minutes of something resembling a story. But at the very least, the title isn't misleading. You know exactly what you're going to get before you ever hit play on your remote. Honestly, this whole thing feels like someone found a bunch of costumes and set pieces sitting around a warehouse and just hired a few girls to run around in their underwear for an hour or so. And to that I say, God bless Hollywood. Elizabeth Keighton played Daria and would go on to do quite a few low-budget films, but her biggest part, in my opinion, would be getting killed off by Jason by getting chucked out the window in Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. Cindy Beale played Tisa and didn't have much of a career, unfortunately. Before Slave Girls, she played Bebop in My Chauffeur in 1986, but then didn't do anything else until 1996 when she voiced Commander Nezzy in 5 episodes of Dragon Ball GT. Don Scribner, who was Zed in his first ever acting gig, has had steady work since then, with 80 acting credits as of this recording. A couple of places you might have caught him was in World of Warcraft as Dracos the Interrogator, or in a very small part as the police clerk in the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode Charlie Got Molested. Brink Stevens, who played Shayla, has had the most acting gigs of the cast with over 200 roles to her name. She starred in some notable B-movies, including The Slumber Party Massacre, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-orama, and Tales from the Dark Side TV series. Carl Horner played Rick in one of his only 2 acting credits. However, he has been quite busy in the world of special and visual effects, working on such high-profile projects as Team America World Police, Blade Trinity, The Grindhouse fake trailer Werewolf Women of the SS, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, Cowboys and Aliens, Real Steel, and Oz the Great and Powerful. My thanks to everyone for joining me on this debut episode, but we're just getting started. Be on the lookout for another episode coming soon. So until I greet you for another cinematic abortion, this is your old pal Sugar Pants. See you in your dreams.
I'm going to inform the master.
Tattletale!